Hi everybody, TJ Mac Vintage Cards, and in this video today I'm going to show off a new acquisition to my collection and just how it fits in with what I already have in my collection currently. And as I've said before, my collection's evolving some to where I want to pick up some of the other great players. Just besides the Hall of Famers, there's so many other great players in baseball and football and hockey that I'm looking to add to my collection from the vintage years that I collect, from the 30s into the late 80s. And in baseball, I've been focusing a lot on the 50s lately and just adding some of these great players that may not get the recognition that some of the Hall of Famers get, but they still have a place in this great game, and I want to have that reflected in my collection. So I have these items here that I'm going to show off, and this first item is from my father-in-law's magazine collection from when he was a kid, that when he passed away, he had given it to the family, and I have a lot of these magazines on display in my card room. And this here is an August 1953 Sport magazine with the great pitcher from the Braves, Warren Spahn. And you can see the nice looking Indian headdress there, emblem on his sleeve. And this is the first year the Braves were in Milwaukee in 1953. Previously they were the Boston Braves, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in this video. And just a nice magazine that I like to display in my card room. And then I'm going to skip this painting here, and I'm going to move over to this program. And this is a program from the 1952 Boston Braves, and this was a game between the Cardinals and the Braves that my father-in-law and his brother had gone to, that was given to us. And this is actually my brother-in-law, or my father-in-law's brother's program, not my father-in-law's. He had given us some things as well. And here's just, these wonderful images here of children in baseball uniforms, and then you have this leaping player in the middle going up to catch the ball, and you can see the ball in his glove. Just a really nice piece of 50s artwork. And then below that you got It's Got to Be Good from the Cott Beverage Company that was around in Massachusetts during that time. And again, this was from 1952, so you can just see the wonderful image here of a basket of fruit with a bottle in the middle. And Cott did soda pop and juice drinks during that time, and I believe they're still in existence in some form today. I know they have a presence in Canada, and they make some of the generic soft drinks for stores that they use, like Sam's Choice and things like that. I'm not sure if they're doing that currently, but they were doing that at one time. So in the middle here is really what I'm going to focus on today. And in this image here of Spahn and Sain standing outside the dugout here with the rain falling, and you see the Spahn and Sain sign, and then you have this "Pray for Rain." Now this is one of the famous sayings from baseball history, and it's really one that I came to know in 1990-91 when I first started dating my wife in high school. I went to her house, and her father had this image, not this exact one, but a larger version of this in one of his hallways. And I just thought it was so cool, and this is really where I got to know him as being such a big baseball fan. And as I've mentioned in other videos, that he was a Cleveland Indians fan, and I found it odd that he had a Boston Braves picture on his wall, not an Indians picture. But it really turns out that he's a huge baseball fan, and especially the 50s in baseball really just had a big impact on him, because that was his later teen years, and he was married in 57, so he just kind of grew up with these types of players in his life. So Spahn and Sain were two that were very important to him, and he always liked the Spahn and Sain "Pray for Rain." So what I did is I added this card to my collection, because I had the 52 Bowman Warren Spahn, as you can see here, and I've shown this card before, but I wanted to add the 1951 Johnny Sain to go along with it. And I selected the 51 because of it's really the artwork on the card. You can see it's a nice horizontal shot. I wanted to have him on the Boston Braves, and you can see the B on the top of his hat there. And then you can see on the Spahn that he also has the B. They have similar images here of them throwing. Now you can see the grandstand, it says in the background behind Spahn. But what I like about the Sain is you can see these beautiful clouds behind him. And I'm talking about Spahn and Sain "Pray for Rain" here, and it's really nice to have an image of him with the blue sky and clouds and the hopes for a nice day. So Spahn and Sain can both pitch, which is really what the poem is speaking to. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Johnny Sain first. And his career began in 1942 when he was just 24 years old. Now, he lost 3 full seasons to the war, which is really that's really tough on a major leaguer's career, especially those years from 25 to 27 years old. And it wasn't until 1946, when he was 28, that he played a full major league season again. And he won 20 games 4 of the next 5 seasons, and he had 2 top 5 MVP finishes. But it was 1948, really, when he paired with Warren Spahn here, and they became one of baseball's most fabled pitching tandems. And it was during this season that they were in the mix in 1948 of a pennant race. And they swept a Labor Day doubleheader. Spahn threw a complete 14-inning game in the opener, and then Sain, not to be outdone, came on the back end of that doubleheader and he threw a shutout. And then it was 2 days off for them, and it rained, and then Spahn won the next day, and then Sain won the day after that. And then there were 3 days later, and then what happened? Spahn won again, and Sain won the next day. So then they take a day off, they both come back for a doubleheader. They both win. These two went 8-0 in a 12-day stretch. And this led the Boston Post sports editor, his name was Gerald Hearn, and he wrote the following poem. First we'll use Spahn, then we'll use Sain. Then an off day, followed by rain. Back will come Spahn, followed by Sain, and followed, we hope, by 2 days of rain. And it was on this day that the famous chant, Spahn and Sain, and then pray for rain, became part of baseball lore. Now this chant carried over to the World Series, and when they faced off against the Cleveland Indians. And as much fun as Spahn and Sain that chant became, it really is misleading in my view when I was researching it. The Braves had 2 other very good pitchers in that rotation, and Vern Bickford and Bill Voisell, and they both pitched very well in that World Series. I looked at the box scores and that from those games, and actually they pitched better than Warren Spahn did in one of his games. And ultimately, the Indians won the World Series that year in 6, despite only hitting 199. So that really shows you the quality of the Boston Braves pitching in that World Series. But the issue was the Cleveland Indians also had great pitching that year. They had, of course, Bob Feller, even though Feller went 0-2 in that World Series, but they had Bob Lemon, who went 2-0. And then they had Gene Bearden, who was a very good pitcher as well. He saved a game and won a game in that World Series. So really, it was a great pitching staff against another great pitching staff, and it just happened that the Indians prevailed. But what I really want to share about Johnny Sain here that's interesting to me is he was the last man to pitch against Babe Ruth in an organized game, and it was during a 1943 exhibition at Yankee Stadium. And he was also the first pitcher to pitch against Jackie Robinson in the major leagues when he debuted in 1947. So I thought that was a really cool connection to 2 of the historic greats of baseball. And Sain, after the 1951 season, or actually during the 51 season, he was traded to the Yankees to help them with the World Series push. And the Yankees won the World Series in 51, and he stayed on board with them for a few more years and won 2 more World Series in 52 and 53. And his role really changed. He went from being an outstanding starting pitcher to being an outstanding relief pitcher. I kind of compare that to like what John Smoltz did with the Braves, where he became a great reliever after being a great starter for many years. And to prove this, Johnny Sain, he had 26 saves in 1954, which led the major leagues for the New York Yankees. And he finished his career with 139 wins, 113 losses, and 56 saves. Now imagine if he would have got those 3 seasons between 25 years and 27 years old to pitch. What if he would have won 50, 60 more games? That would have brought him close to 200. Maybe we're looking at him as a Hall of Fame player, considering his postseason success and how versatile he was as a starting pitcher and a reliever. But the man gets penalized in some ways because he served his country. And that's one of the things that you find during this era with a lot of these players. And I'm going to talk about some more of these in other videos. But for today, I'm going to leave you with these 2 greats. I'm thrilled to add them to my collection. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and everybody have a great weekend.